everyone. It's nice to see you. It's been about 2 weeks since my last posting, and I have been in Australia. I'm home now. I went for work, and it was pretty amazing to just be in a different space, a different continent. It was the longest flight I've ever taken in my life, and it actually went perfectly well, and it actually felt fast. So, to put it in perspective, I left my house Wednesday morning ish, and I got to Australia, the hotel, Friday, like late afternoon. So it was JFK to LAX, layover, LAX to Sydney, Sydney to Adelaide. So it was just really wonderful. And I was able to get in a little early before I had to start working. So I was able to regulate, find my way around, make some friends. I found a really cool gym there. I was able to do Pilates every morning on the reformer. I found really great restaurants and made friends with the owners. So I really like enjoyed myself. I got to the beach. The water was warm. It was just really amazing. Sorry, I think I'm still a little dry from my flight home. I got sun. It was just felt great. But the most interesting part of the experience was there was this pressure that I didn't realize that I felt when I'm here at home that I didn't feel there. And I don't think that it's like any one thing. It felt like a collective energy or some kind of frequency where when I'm here at home in the States, I don't know, maybe it's New York or wherever, I feel like a slight pressure to perform, to produce. And there, I didn't feel any pressure. I just felt light, easy. The Aussies say a lot, no worries. And that's really the best way that I could put it. I felt like I had no worries. I was there, everything was taken care of, and I was just good. I didn't rush, I didn't stress. It was just really wonderful. And I wrote about it on my Substack because I'm like what, what is that? And how can I embody that and bring it back into my life now, right? Because wherever you go, there you are. So in that, if there's something that I'm able to experience in a place, I'm part of that experience and that energy and that exchange. So therefore I should be able to bring it back with me in some way. So I've really just been, dialing in. I'm definitely probably a little jet lagged. Not probably, I am. But it's really about slowing down, dialing in. And it's interesting because I come back on a holiday week. So there's not a lot of people in the city, or at least where I live in general. I haven't really seen a lot of people. So I'm really just trying to grasp onto that no worries, no pressure, and just flow. And it's been quite nice, and it's been interesting making myself question things, right? I'm always about questioning things. Someone said to me, "You're quite a deep thinker." And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, most of the time. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes my thoughts are shallow or they're not, very developed. But for the most part, yeah, I'm always thinking and thinking and thinking and questioning why and wanting to know why, and really just always trying to expand. So what I am trying to do and what I believe I am doing is just really tapping in and being present and really calling out moments of distraction, because I feel like the last year, so I finished chemotherapy, it's not what I meant to say, but I finished chemotherapy in March of 2024. I finished radiation in December of 2024. So really this last year, 2025, has been without hardcore treatment. I've had, the hormone therapy stuff going on, the Lupron, the exemestane, no longer on those, just doing the tamoxifen now because that's what works best for me and my system. And I don't want to take that either, but it is what it is. And I realized that in this last year, it's really been my first time where I'm not like waiting for another shoe to drop, or like in treatment waiting to be over. So it's just always developing this after. And part of me gets annoyed because I don't want, you know, cancer or breast cancer to be like my identity. And I don't believe that it is, but it is interesting how it just continues to color and affect everything all the time, you know? So it's been a year of me integrating myself back into life, my life, society, and figuring out what that is, who I am, what do I want, what do I no longer want. And it's more of the last part, what do I no longer want. And it's interesting because there's a lot of things I no longer want, or want to be a part of, or want to participate in. And it's a little scary at times because I don't know what that means. I don't know what the next thing is. So I'm just praying and keeping the faith that everything will unfold and make sense. Um, and it's going to be a really cool journey this year, and you're coming along with me for it. I have a lot of ideas, a lot of things, and my main thing is I want to start to focus back on my mission. I want to dial into purpose. I want to stop being distracted. And I've just been feeling like I'm distracted and my attention is being fragmented. And not on purpose, but like work and like other just random life demands where before I just didn't have it, but before I wasn't who I am now. So that, there's that. I don't know that I'm making much sense, and it's okay if I'm not. But it's just a very interesting time for myself, and it's exciting because I'm deciding what I want to do moving forward. I'm really leaning into, figuring out my identity work wise. I believe I know who I am personally, but then it's like this last piece of my life, which is like my career path, which I don't want to do anymore. I don't want to be in, you know, being an executive assistant anymore. And obviously that's what I'm doing and I'm in it and I do enjoy it, but there's part of me that's starting to feel a panic because why? Because it's not aligned with who I am and what I want to do and how I want to expel and my energy, my life force. But obviously we live in a capitalistic society, so I have to work, right? I have commitments. I've made commitments to people, places, and things, and most of them I do want to see through. And there's moments where I don't want to see any of it through, but I'm gonna follow through on my word and make sure that I don't mess anyone up or anything like that. But I'm starting to voice it because I've learned that it's not good to keep things inside, right? Because if I'm starting to feel panic, and it's not because anything's happening, it's because I'm keeping it inside when really I need to voice it out. I need to like let it out. And then in doing so, that's also how I can figure out what the next is for me, right? And always trying to figure out what's new and make a change is always scary and unnerving because I spent 15 years doing what I do, and I'm really great at what I do. I'm excellent at what I do, and I don't say that to be vain or anything, but I'm just really great at what I do. And it's funny when you spend so much time and effort being really great at what you do to then decide I don't want to do this anymore. And it's not because because I can't, I just don't want to. It doesn't resonate with me. I feel as though I've outgrown a lot of things. And this is the last piece, the last shedding of the skin, which is also interesting because it's like if you follow the Lunar New Year, the last year was the snake, and this year, literally today, the 17th, we're, entering the year of the fire horse. So it's just this interesting thing where it's literally the last thing in that whole cycle that remains from the pre-cancer, that part of me, that Kia, that chapter, that volume, that era. That's the only thing that came over, and it came over in a better way, right? Like, this place is great, everyone's wonderful, there's no emotional regulation, there's no crazy bosses, there's nothing like that, but it's still just I've outgrown it, and it's just an interesting place to be in. And I'm sure that I'm not the only one, and I'm sure that I might be the only one that will get on video and talk about it, but I feel that it's important for us to share and talk about these things, because if we don't, then there's other people going through it who think they're the only ones going through it and they feel crazy, and it just is a bad cycle. So I don't have an answer because I'm living it now and sharing and documenting it and on the journey. But what I'm hoping is that over the course of days, weeks, months, this year, as we go on this journey together, or as I go on this journey recording myself, maybe no one's watching, to see how it develops. But I know that I have to get clear on what it is that I want. And, I've been, writing things down. I have my journal. I write down a lot of things that I don't want. I write about things that I do want, like, how do I want my days to go? How do I want to spend my energy? And it's a great exercise. It's like, I want to spend my days focused and rooted in purpose. Okay, and then I go further. How do I want that purpose to be? I want to be of service. And one can say, oh, well, you're in service now. But I don't want to be in the kind of service I'm in now. I want to be in the kind of service that's rooted in purpose and helping women and helping people get through their trauma, reawaken, and for me, things that matter to me. Not that what I'm doing now doesn't matter to me, but I guess it also doesn't, right? So, and that's okay, because everyone, will have ebbs and flows, and what's important today may not be important tomorrow. And focusing on, like, how I want to spend my time. I no longer want to be the executor, the problem solver, the logistics. I want to build, I want to create. I want to create and build. I just said that twice in different ways because I think there's like no other way to say it. Because right now I'm just an executioner, right? I get orders and I see it done and I see it through, and that's it. And now I'm in a place where I'm a creative and I want to create. I've written 2 books. The second book is incredible. Not that the first one wasn't. They just were written in different ways, different times, and I've grown. And there's just so much that I know that I have inside, and I know that I cannot stand in my own way. I have to just let it be and just go for it all. And always, though, I feel that I need to have a plan, and in that plan it's just getting clarity, figuring out what it all looks like, even though if I don't know exactly, and I don't know exactly, the how or the why or the where, I just know that the fact remains that I have outgrown the identity that was the container of who I thought I needed to be safe, to be accepted, to be all of the things, right? There's so many things when I start to break it down and think about it. It's just, being a woman, being a Black woman, growing up where I grew up. It's just like there's so much where I think, and I know, it's not I think, of like so much external validation versus now I don't care what anyone thinks or says. I don't need validation from anyone except myself. I always now go, am I happy? And I spent so many years of my life worried about what other people thought, which is crazy when you really think about it, because who is anybody? Who cares, right? The only thing that matters is that you're healthy and you're happy and that you love you and that you validate yourself. I don't need some stranger to like something of mine or to not like something of mine. I don't care. And with all of this growth and this realization, this amazing freedom comes from it. You know, people can't really upset me, right? I mean, I do get annoyed, and obviously when people lie or do things where I'm like why would you do that, or like something stupid. It's just like why are you wasting my time or our time with that, right? So that will still happen, but for the most part, I can say that with certainty that I don't feel anxiety. I don't, feel those things. And when I say that pressure I felt, it was weird because I never knew I felt it until I was somewhere and I was like, oh, what's that calm? So there's a lot in this video, a lot in my words. And over the coming days, I'm gonna refocus back on making my videos. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm just gonna come and talk and chat and keep writing and doing what I'm doing. And we'll see where it all goes.